So for those of you who are wrestling fans or even maybe were back in the day, used to watch WWF, as it used to be called, one of the greatest post announcers or just announcers in general is today the late, great Mean Gene Okerlund. And man, you talk about a guy that we were talking about it too outside. He helped Hogan get over more as a face than even Hogan did himself. He was a pioneer. He was just, there was so much great about him. And I'm gonna show. Have you ever seen the SummerSlam clip, by the way?
Which one?
The
There's
one,
just so many.
The Summer where he gets when the thing falls.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites.
I saw that live when it happened.
Really?
Bring up, guys. Can you bring up Mean Gene Okerlund SummerSlam blooper?
While they're pulling that up, one of my favorites is it's an interview with him and Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, which is sad because they're all three have passed now, which is such a bummer. But it's at Macho Man's house.
SummerSlam.
It's at Macho Man's house. It's actually Vince McMahon's house, and they're by the pool, and he's interviewing Macho Man in Ray-Bans. And so Mean Gene's wearing Ray-Bans, interviewing Macho Man, and it's one of my favorite interviews. But
it's great.
This is a classic one too. The way he pulls this off.
So and Ellis will love this too because go ahead and bring this clip up. This is during.
You know, the Ultimate Warrior. Fuck it. Publicly stated that. Damn it, who put that up? Is that $200 an hour?
As a blooper, he screams "fuck it," and then
that's great.
It was live on TV.
I don't have a great perspective on who Mean Gene is or was, but I do remember watching. You know, one of my favorite comedians and one of my best friends, Steve Simone, talks about wrestling a lot on stage. You know Simone? You would love it. Yeah. So when he talks about like watching all these old matches with his dad, he always references Mean Gene, and so in my head, I was even able to pick out. Because Steve is such a good storyteller that Mean Gene is the announcer. He's kind of like the ringmaster to a point.
He's the Jen Sturger, the Emma Fife, the Roxy Striar.
And for those wondering like why we brought this up, I don't think you mentioned this part. Unfortunately, Mean Gene passed away this week. It was announced by WWE today at 76 years old that he passed. There's really no information at this point on how he passed or the circumstances surrounding it. But I mean, he was. As recently as November, he was at reunion, WrestleCade type stuff.
Pretty active. And he's in Storytellers a lot of the time.
Still doing stuff. So he was very active. If he was sick or anything like that, it doesn't seem like he was like suffering for very long or anything like that. But there hasn't been like an official family statement or anything like that.
At what age do people assume that it's old age? Because that's pretty young, 76.
It is still young.
At what age do people wait for the announcement?
Well, it's different if you drink Coors Light every day.
Right.
Then you should live to at least 100. Because the guy that was 101 years old, everybody sent me this link. This guy's 101 years old and he's still alive, and he says that he attributes his long life to Coors Light. So if you drink Coors Light, you're in a different bracket as far as old age goes than everybody else, and I'm happy to be in that bracket.
I feel Mean Gene would have been a lot of fun to drink with on the road.
Oh yeah,
because he was the wrestler's buddy. Man. Maybe love him.
I saw someone, as Arda Orcal, who he used to work for WWE. He was worked in similar role as Mean Gene for WWE.com, and he said that after every shoot, Mean Gene would go and get a steak and vodka or whatever, and they'd hang out and drink and stuff. And that's from what I've seen all across the internet. I mean, he was beloved by everybody, just everyone in the industry, and I think internet watched because, like you said, he helped get all these legendary names over. I mean, he was like, I think when you think of WWF, the 80s and all that kind of stuff, even though you think of Hulk Hogan, it was much more simple matches. It was like a simple concept, a simple formula, and Mean Gene was a huge part of it.
It was him, Howard Finkel, like those guys. Like they added to it because wrestling back in the day played more into the sports element than it does today. Today, it's more about it's a show. It is completely characters. It always had the soap opera element in the WWF, but back in the day, but they treated it as if it was the sports event, like a big fight was going to happen. They didn't fight 7 times before they got to it. It was Randy Savage was fighting Hogan. You're not going to see that fight until WrestleMania. And who built it up? The announcers, the guys who were. It was always him and
Bobby Heenan
and Lord Alfred Hayes.
Yep.
It was all those guys, and Mean Gene was the best of them. So
do you miss that style of the way that the show
100%
went on? But would you trade the way that wrestling happens today?
I would. I know he might be differently, but I would. I think wrestling suffers from. And I understand for what they have to do because of advertisements and things, the way that they have to have so much programming and they have to have big marquee matches to keep people excited.
The news cycle and social media is the big reason why